Hello everybody, I'm Thomas from Appfarm, and today I'm going to give you a brief overview of the Appfarm Create no-code development platform. So here you have the Appfarm Create no-code development platform. As you can see, we're in the browser. And here you have everything you need to develop and deploy full stack applications. Here you have the UI editor, you have the logic, and you have your data. But we'll start by taking a look at the UI. So what you see here is where you build your UI. And as you can see, it consists of different views and different components here in a tree. And you also have a visual representation of what you're trying to build on this side. And Appfarm Create has quite a lot of different components. Everything from a container, which for people that have worked with web development before, it's close to a div. You have text edit, input fields, tables, lists, buttons, text for plain text, PDF reader, so a bit more advanced feature like PDF reader and maps with polygons and markers and all you would need in a map, and quite a lot of advanced charting down here. These components are combined into this tree, and for each component that you put into your component tree, you can tweak it. So if we, for instance, choose this container here, you see that the properties on this side, it changed a bit. And here you can tweak it to define how this component should work. And if you switch to this tab here, you can also select how it will look. So this is basically a visual CSS editor where you can choose how it will appear both visually and how it would arrange towards other components. So you can set up borders and background colors and all you would need. Now that we have a UI already set up, you can preview it. We have a preview button up here, and Appfarm Create actually has automatic deploy to the develop environment. So we can just press live preview and it will open a new tab, and I'll just open a nicer emulator here. And what we see here is a timekeeping application that we have built. So you can click around and actually do stuff. As you see here, it has some data connected to it. The development environment already has a database set up, so you can add data as you would in a published application. And I can register hours in this application. So I'll say that I worked on the infrastructure revision project. I worked there for 1 hour today, and save it, and it will be saved. But as you saw here, when I click this button, something is actually happening. And this is not a UI feature, this is a logical feature. So if we go back to Appfarm Create, you can see that this button down here, the register hours, it has a lightning connected to it right here. And that means that it has some kind of action connected to it. In this case, we have a event handler down here on this register hours button, which has an on-click event handler. That means that when this button is clicked, something is to happen. And in this case, you see that if we hover over here, we can see a preview of what is happening, and we can also go to what is happening. As you see in the left side menu here, we move down to the actions menu. And the actions is where all the logical operations are set up. Here you have all the different actions across your application. And similar to in the UI, it has quite a lot of components or action nodes that can be used in the logical setup. It has all from CRUD operations, loops, if statements, navigation components, to also here quite more advanced features such as scanning barcode, generating documents, sending SMS, sending email. Sending SMS is actually just to add it here and put who is the recipient, and it has a SMS service already set up. And for integrations, we use this web request component where you can set up what kind of endpoint, what kind of request you're doing, and you can consume external APIs through this one or post to them. So that is the UI and the logic. But all applications also have some data. And down here on the left side, we have the global data model. If we go to this one, you can see here is the setup of how the global data model is. It's quite similar to an ER diagram, really. It has different object classes and relations. But the difference is that I only define how it looks. All the technicalities are taken care of by Appfarm. So here we have different object classes and all the relations between them. But let's go back to the application again. Say that whenever I put in a time entry, I would like to define whether or not this time entry is billable or not. This could be useful for some in the accounting department to know what bills to send or not. In that case, we would need some way to define here whether or not it is billable, so people, when they're registering their hours, could set that up. In that case, we first need to define a new property in this time entry object class. So I'll just right click here and add a new property, and we'll call this one billable. And here I choose the data type. In this case, I choose the data type Boolean because it's either true or false, either billable or not. And that's it. That's all I have to do to create a new column in the database and do the connection all the way up to the UI. This one is actually ready to use now by the UI. So if we go back to the UI and find this, we need to find this panel here, the dialog box that defines the time entry. I'll just find that one in the hierarchy here on the left side. Here is time entry. I would like to add some kind of UI component that can interact with that data. So you could use a checkbox. I prefer this switch here. I'll just drag and drop it into the UI, and we need to data bind it. So this switch, it should be on the timekeeping tab, and here we have the billable. So as you can see, I only had to add it to the object class, and everything is set up. I press OK. Now it's not only visually available, as you can see here, but if I just refresh, you can also see that it's interactable. So I can actually add data in this way. If I register it now, the data is there. And for instance, in an admin application, they could use it to filter on all the hours that's billable or not. So that is how easy it is to add new features in Appfarm Create. Appfarm Create also has loads of other features I won't go into now, but I'll just briefly mention services where you can set up endpoints for other applications to consume the Appfarm data. You can also set up automated jobs that will be done. You have resource files, themes, where you define how it will look throughout the whole application, and internationalization panel, where you can translate your whole application, and obviously a lot of stuff on security to make sure your apps are nice and secure. So that is the brief overview of Appfarm Create. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you feel like you want to try it out yourself, feel free to reach out to us and we'll set you up with your own environment. Thank you very much for your time, and have a nice day.